Objects in a sequence diagram do not necessarily exist for the full duration of the interaction that the diagram depicts. During an interaction, participants can be created and destroyed. Sequence diagrams use create and destroy messages to show that a participant's life within an interaction is shorter than the duration of the interaction itself. You might see a create message represented in one of two different ways. And let's look at the first one. Here you've got a database that is going to create a database record object. And one way that you can show that this participant creates this participant with a create message is like this. Notice that rather than going from the lifeline of the sender to the lifeline of the recipient, this create arrow goes from the lifeline of the sender to the box that contains the name of the recipient. And this can be a nice way to emphasize that this object was not in existence at the beginning of the interaction. As you'll recall, in a sequence diagram, the vertical axis shows the dimension of time, with earlier at the top of the diagram, and then it gets later as you move down to the bottom of the diagram. So because this classifier is farther down on the diagram than this one, it shows that this one came into existence later than this one did. Note also that you want to label your create message with the create stereotype. So that's one way that you can show that one participant creates another. And as I said, it's a nice way to show it because it emphasizes through positioning that this was created later in time. The other way you can show a create message is like this. We've got our database record, and we're simply going to draw a create message from one lifeline to the other. Notice that this arrow, this message arrow, is also labeled with the create stereotype. Now in this modeling tool, Poseidon, it assumes that this participant is creating this participant in order to get some reply or return message back. So Poseidon automatically puts in this return arrow. Either way will show that one object creates another in a sequence diagram. Here you're simply passing a create message to the created object's lifeline. Now to show that an object is destroyed during an interaction, you want to send a destroy message to the participant whose lifeline is going to end with its destruction. And this is what a destroy message looks like. It's an arrow that points to the lifeline of the object that will be destroyed, and it has an X to indicate the lifeline stops here. It's also a good idea to label this arrow with the destroy stereotype, just to make it clear. But the X shows that this is where this object is over and done with. Its lifeline ends right here at the X. So create and destroy allow you to show how various objects, various participants in a sequence diagram exist for less time than the duration of the interaction as a whole.